It's a way to set worker against worker, and we see that everywhere. We've seen it in all the government policies and all their economic strategies. It's about setting us against each other. It's student versus worker. It's old versus young. It's the public sector versus the private sector. And I tell you another one that's really important for us to pay attention to, that we're seeing more and more of, is British worker versus foreigner. And I'm afraid to say that I think you can detect it amongst people of our own class and generally in society, is a recent upturn in misconceptions about foreign workers, prejudice about asylum seekers and refugees, and a lot of ignorance going about. I see it myself, I hear it, unfortunately, more and more often, as being somebody who lives in Glasgow, which has probably the biggest Romany community living there in Scotland. And I fear for the future, it doesn't, it's only not very far away in France, where they've been used by a right-wing government, a Tory government of Sarkozy, as a scapegoat for the economic problems. And I fear for things like that happening here. It's not just the Romany people, Eastern European workers of all descriptions, and asylum seekers and refugees. There's a climate of hysteria against them being whipped up. And it's not just by who you'd expect in the far right, the BNP, the SDL and so on, who we've played a leading role in organising against, campaigning against, with some notable successes in the last couple of years. But it's very apparent, scarily apparent, in mainstream society now as well. Almost all of the mainstream newspapers and all of the mainstream political parties are willing to feed into and build and profit from these fears and misconceptions, and it's something that we as a party have got to be alive to, alert to. We need to be building organisations such as the Scottish Anti-Fascist Alliance to combat these ideas and to be on the streets to combat racism and fascism and to make sure that our class is not united. And when I say, going back to the Con Nationale and the issue of what's happened to students, let's not forget that the party who's fronting up, who have been the go-to guys on this policy, are the very party who won many seats based on the idea, and won many new votes based on the idea, that they would oppose fees for students, and they would at least protect the existing settlement for students. They even said they would scrap fees altogether, and here they are administering and implementing fees being trebled. Don't underestimate the number of young people who weren't born when the Liberal Party were going at it hammer and tongs against the Socialist Council in Liverpool in the 80s, have no knowledge of the Social Democratic Party being a right-wing breakaway from the Labour Party, as it was, and saw this party as some people who would protect their interests in some way, who were an alternative. I tell you, before Nick Clegg became a Con-Dem, he conned us. My impression I get from speaking to young people about it is, it's not something I need to work hard on. People are angry at that guy, that facetious bastard, that liar, smug git, and I look forward to their vote collapsing in the next election, and I think it's a lesson for a lot of young people. I hope it's a lesson that's taken the right way. I hope people see the need to step it up a gear in terms of not just voting for somebody and hoping that they'll deliver, becoming actively involved in the struggle, and realising that the Liberal Democrat Party are no alternative whatsoever. I'll finish up by saying that the last few days, the process that we're on with the LibDems and those young people who voted for them reminds me very much of many people in America who voted for Obama, who had their young people with a very healthy rejection of parliamentary politics, a healthy rejection of the system as it is just now, and a hope for something better. And for many of those young people, they voted, as far as they were concerned, they voted for something better. And it was obviously never going to be delivered. Our message is to be clear. We are a party that's for real change, and we can back it up because we're an anti-capitalist party, and we're a party that's for popular, radical democracy that really gives the power back to the people and makes sure their interests are protected, because they are the people who control society. Across Europe, the rich have given up on the post-war settlement. There was one because we had a flawed but I still existed in a mass and real People's Party, working People's Party in Labour, which it is no longer. But we had that, and they feared the prospects that our class was waking up and would take power and implement socialism. That's why the post-war settlement was put in place. As far as the rich are concerned, they can't be bothered with it anymore. They've given up on it. We all watched what happened in Greece in the summer. Greece is probably the most obvious example of the rich absolutely bailing out full responsibility. If you think tax evasion and avoidance is bad here, it's 10 times worse there. There's millionaires and billionaires in Greece as well. Most of them moving their assets to London and other European cities. The post-war settlement is gone. As far as they're concerned, the idea that even a small but significant amount of their profits and their wealth will be taken from them, they don't want it anymore. And they've got the guys in power, and they've got the apparatus through the media to back it up. And what it means now as a young person looking towards the future is we're fighting just for survival. And it's what unites us, with workers, with trade unionists, and all working class people across the country. I'll give you a very good example in case you missed it. Yesterday, the London, I think it was yesterday, possibly the day before, the London firefighters on strike, forming picket lines, the purpose of which, obviously with the anti union laws now, you're not trying to stop, physically prevent somebody from going to work. Simply trying to talk to the scab labourers who've been brought in. 3 of them knocked down. 1 by a car driven by a manager, 2 by fire engines who wouldn't stop for picket lines, who in fact sped up on instructions from management, sped up and with pickets standing there. 3 of them knocked down and injured, could have been killed. Does the media raise a peep about it? Do our politicians care? None of them. Shameful. And that's a stark example of the fight for survival that all of us face. And that I think is important. My last point, which is that the SSP's recently updated their council tax policy, and it's an excellent policy, and it's stark, the figures that reveal how much extra could be brought in for services. And we've had a dispute as well tonight about tax, Greg Fellows, statistics, how much extra could be brought in and what service could be protected. And I think that's useful and it's worthwhile, and I think it helps a lot of people to understand what's going on just now. But we cannot save the world with tax reform. As I say, with the rich deciding the post-war settlement is gone, it's different terms now, and I think more and more working class people understand that, and I think we as a party need to be clear on that and what we advocate. The only solution for working people, if they want to have any future worth thinking about, worth having, is to organise a movement to sweep away the vested interests who run society, to remove power from the rich and selfish. And we need a revolution to do that, and we need socialism.